and even below the atom. So we can just say, and things that cannot be seen until except with a microscope, which is I don't know how much multiplied things, you know, يعني several أضعاف to see that thing. So we can just say وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Yeah, كلمة ذرة, يعني subhanallah. So if it's just مثقال ذرة, يعني not even an atom, it's just a portion, the smallest portion of an atom, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give you that, inshallah. Would reward you for this, or would punish you for that, inshallah, would be rewarded. وبعدين ماذا أيضا؟ Do we have anything left? Islamic science. Science also is a big topic. You know, I'm not a science teacher, but you know, you know, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. And one of the things, for example, those birds that immigrate, for example, at a certain time and go from a place to the other, and it's that certain time that they come and they stay only for 7 days and then they move to another. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how they know that this is the time for them to migrate. This is the only time that they're staying. Then where they're going, and they go in flocks. They go in groups, and they do not get lost in the air. Yani. Okay, this is yani one of the. We did not have enough time actually to talk about everything, so it was like fast. فيعني جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت.
Assalamu alaikum. This comes with a disclaimer. I'm not a teacher, but I've been sent up here. Okay. Our ayah is أَفَلَا يُنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ كَيْفَ سُطِحَتْ. Okay, do they not look at the earth, how it is spread out? So we talked about Islamic studies is to think and study and know about Allah's creation, and also not just use minds or our eyes, but also our hearts. And that is the part where we probably need to spend more time with young people to teach them how to really think with their hearts, because I think that is what brings us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For Arabic, we chose the word sutihat to stress, and from that we can learn the names of different landforms, mountains, plains, and also how to use the verb and to use it as a noun. So we just decided that was one way of doing it, would be to concentrate on that one word and through it teach the greatness of Allah's creation. For French, again, we could use it as vocabulary, teaching different verbs and the difference between to look and to see, and also using the vocabulary. We use the word sleep as from in Arabic we say sataha or sataha, which is to lie down, to rest, and so on. So we can use it in many different ways. And again, this is the miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in one word we can extract so many different things. And this is what we should also stress when we're teaching the children or anyone, that every word in itself is a miracle. Physical education, we talked about how the earth and how it was created, its form provides challenges for us. For example, athletes, for training, when the land is flat, it's one way of training. When you go to a steeper incline, it's a different way of training. When you use the water to train in, you can hang glide, you can do all kinds of things. And if we didn't have these different forms, we wouldn't be able to use our bodies in different ways to strengthen them. Okay, let's slow this up a bit. For language, we were talking about how to compare between the Arabic and the English language. Again, the word in English we use see, which also can mean understand. And in Arabic it's the same thing. We use to see, to think, to understand. It's all encompassed in one word. So again, through the use of language, we can make comparisons and teach how Allah's greatness has helped us to learn. Okay, for math, again, surface, which is sath, we can use that again to show how we can measure different surfaces. We can measure area, we can measure volume, and how to compare sizes. Again, all that through Allah's creation and the different, not only the different things He has created, but also the different abilities He has given us in order for us to study His creation. In science, a lot of it is repetitive, and it has to be if it's going to be interconnected. So again, the difference among the landforms, how things are discovered, and also that anything that science is discovering is already mentioned in the Qur'an. Okay, so what's happening as we become so-called more advanced in science, we're only discovering what Allah has already told us about. So it's simply, and this we should just use that to strengthen our faith and to strengthen our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the creator. And again, science, of course, especially with the land, it's endless because it's above land and below the land, you know, all the different layers of the land and the strata, right? I remember that from when I went to school. Okay, so anyway, but always to remember and to remind each other and our students of the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakumullah.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. One thing that Dr. Muhammad asked us when he saw us grouping by ourselves, and he saw the 4 groups, while it was supposed to be 3 groups. I mentioned to him that this is one of the ayahs, one of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the difference between males and females. So and you could see it here, it's the same thing. We're looking at the same ayahs, but our thoughts were a little bit different. And as an educator, I would ask you first question, what difference do you see between this and the previous group? Raise your hands, please. Yes, ma'am. Graphics, that's one. Jazakumullah khair. Another one. I'm sorry? Different writing? Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit? Yes. One more. There's the ayahs or the Telawa at first. Yes, sir.
You use a lot of arrows.
A lot of arrows. That's right. Yes. So those are a few differences that you see. As you know, when a male walks into a place, they don't see the tiny details, or when they buy something, they don't make sure that under here it's sewn very well. They just look at the whole picture, and the whole picture looks fine, and then they get it. Yes. Now let me give you the positives about it. They're not necessarily negative, subhanallah. We have to have males and females and looking at the same thing sometimes, because when both of us look at the same thing, we are more, we complete each other more than go in separate ways. Let's look into what we thought about when we looked at this. 2 things came up. Doctor, mashallah, with the system, there are 2 ways that we could look at it. Either we use Qur'an as